Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda, and in this video I answer the question, did President Trump actually announce a second stimulus package and stimulus checks? Now, when I saw this news that came out, and it was a breaking news alert that showed up on my phone, because I make sure to monitor all important announcements coming out from the House, coming out from the Senate, coming out from the administration, I actually rushed to create that video. I didn't put on my suit, I didn't get into my office, I was in my hoodie, and I just created a last-minute video, and I did it on the fly and I sent it out. It wasn't a video that that looks like this. Now, I did that quickly because I wanted to share the good news with all of my viewers, all of my subscribers. Ever since I started this channel, I felt that I had a responsibility towards my subscribers to bring them information that was direct, that was to the point, and that provides a message of hope. Because what we need in this situation is hope. We need a reality check, and I feel in many ways we need to grow up financially. We need to use this as a reason to become financial adults, if you will, to start saving more money. And I have to say, I appreciated the reaction to the video, thousands of comments and hundreds of thousands of views. And I was interested in the fact that so many individuals saw the message of hope. So many individuals felt that this was good news, which it indeed is. But I want to address a few important things that I really didn't get a chance to address in that 5-minute video that I put together in my hoodie. And so here we go. Now let's take a look at this interview and listen very carefully to the words from the interview. I want to give a lot of credit to Joe St. George, who is the national politics editor for Scripps National News. Great job, Joe. In fact, when I saw this video, it had like 100 views or something. And ever since I made the announcement, there are tens of thousands of views for this particular video. So I support you fully. Also, I was the first one to actually break this news on YouTube, because the following day, this announcement then came out on CNBC, and a lot of other colleagues, a lot of other fantastic YouTubers started covering this news as well. So more power to all of us, and more power to good high quality education and messages filled with reality and hope for the audience. So let's take a look at this and listen to this very carefully, because I think a lot of my subscribers and a lot of viewers got completely hung up on the fact that the word was not stimulus check, it was simply stimulus update. So let's take a closer look at this, and I'll break it down for you and what my personal interpretation of this. Now, I could be wrong here. Let's be clear, I could be wrong, but I want to tell you what I interpret, what is my personal opinion, and more importantly, what is likely to happen next.
I have a lot of viewers in Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, who are still struggling economically, sir. They spent all of that first stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus check?
Yeah, we are.
The interviewer said they spent the first stimulus check. Are you going to get them the second stimulus check? And the president immediately responded, yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are.
I noticed a lot of comments about individuals arguing, well, it wasn't a stimulus check, it was a stimulus package. Some people even denied that they heard the word check. I think we live in an age where it's kind of hard to believe your eyes. And at the end of the day, I think we need to believe what we see. So again, I'm going to actually repeat this.
Wisconsin, Michigan, who are still struggling economically, sir. They spent all of that first stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus check?
They spent the first stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus check? And immediately the president says, yes, we are. So again, whether the president said, will there be a second stimulus check? And then later he said stimulus package. I mean, he's the president of the United States. You don't expect the president of the United States to give you an exact date, an exact time in an interview on the lawns of the White House. I mean, this has to go from the House to the Senate, signed into law by the president, who, by the way, he's the person who signs it into law. So if President Trump doesn't sign it, nothing gets done. So let's be clear about that. You have the president of the United States saying, yes, we are, because he's the person who's going to sign it. The House can do all the haggling that they want. The Senate can do all the haggling they want. They can run around in circles. But at the end of the day, the bill that they create has to be signed into law by the president. We are listening to an interview of the president of the United States, who, when he signs the next stimulus package, and there will be a next stimulus package. So hopefully there are no disagreements about that. Hopefully the next stimulus package is a foregone conclusion at this point. And I've been talking about that for several weeks on my channel. I've talked about the need for the second stimulus. I've talked about the rationale for the second stimulus, the global, the political, the economic necessities for the second stimulus. I did that weeks ago. But what is important, what is game-changing about this bit of news is that the president specifically said, yes, we are. In fact, the president went on to talk a little bit more about the stimulus package. But again, he is the president. He signs off on things. He's not going to talk about specific dates and times because those are details that have to be worked out by the House, by the Senate. So this is significant because sometimes the biggest pieces of news come out in the most matter-of-fact way, come out in the most casual way. Now, in case you're wondering why haven't the major news channels covered this? Well, there are two reasons in my opinion. Number one, bad news always gets more ratings. Bad news always gets more people talking about it, always gets more people arguing about it, and always becomes a point of contention, which always drives rating. Number two, this happened in a matter-of-fact interview, and it's likely that this was simply missed out by the major news channels. It's quite possible. I was the individual that reported this on YouTube, and then it was reported on CNBC the next day. And number three, actually, there is a third reason. Good news is generally not as popular as bad news. Now you can see that I delivered what I considered to be good news, what I'm sure 99% of my audience considers to be good news. But again, good news doesn't get that same level of traction as bad news does. In fact, we are so conditioned to bad news in the culture that we live in that when we look at good news, we treat it with a high amount of skepticism. We look at it, oh my God, that can't be true. It's false. You know, the interview is probably not a genuine interview.
Oh my God, let's argue about stimulus check versus stimulus update. Let's just argue.
As opposed to improving our own financial habits, as opposed to trying to save, as opposed to looking at this as a way for all of us to get to the next level financially, which by the way is what my channel is all about. So there will always be skeptics. I appreciate that. I'm totally okay with that. But I want you to understand that there's a difference between bad news and good news. Bad news gets people arguing, gets people talking about, you know, the red or the blue. By the way, for me, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. Bad news gets people taking sides, and bad news gets people going us versus them. Good news, on the other hand, tends to bring people together, tends to be a little bit more boring. And in an age like this, we all need good news, we all need hope. My belief is we are living in an age where good news is actually hard to believe, and therefore we treat it with a high degree of skepticism. Some amount of skepticism is healthy, but when you let your skepticism cloud your judgment, well then that's when things get a little bit different. If you say, well, I don't believe this interview, you're looking at an interview of the President of the United States talking, and if you're going to dismiss that as fake news, then you know, that's that, I guess. Let's listen to the rest of the interview and let's listen to the president's words.
We are. Look, we had this.
When are you going to get it?
We had this going better than anybody's ever seen before. We had the best job numbers.
By the way, I like what Joe did. When are you going to get it? Again, I saw comments about individuals saying, you know, how can you be disrespectful to the president? I don't think Joe was being disrespectful. I think Joe was being a good journalist. I think he was doing his job and asking the tough questions and asking what is on the minds of millions of people. There's nothing wrong. And as you can see, President Trump, and by the way, President Trump does not get fazed by the media. So as you can see, he just, you know, went along with what he had to say. So I actually found that pretty interesting, funny even. And here are the words from President Trump that actually got YouTube going kind of bananas, and here are the words.
We will be doing another stimulus package. It'll be very good. It'll be very generous. And
How much? People want to know.
You'll find out about it. You'll find out.
The reason President Trump said you'll find out about it is probably because A, this is being negotiated right now between the House and the Senate, or B, the negotiations are already done. They're waiting for the right time to make an announcement. Some individuals predict that this announcement is going to be made towards the end of July because people are going to go on vacation. You can look at this and make a best case interpretation of what's likely to happen. You can say, all right, we're going to get nothing. We're going to get, you know, a couple of $100, $1,200, or you can say, well, we'll get $2,000 a month for several months. The important part here is the President of the United States confirmed that more stimulus money is coming. And then let's get back to Joe. Again, props to Joe. I think he's an excellent interviewer, and I encourage all of you to check out his channel and to give him props for this interview, because this is what millions of Americans have been waiting for. I believe he deserves much more credit than I do, and I think he did ask the tough questions, which he did not ask softball questions, and I want to give him credit for that. So let's listen again to the President of the United States.
When are you going to do it? When are you going to announce it?
I think over the next, I think it's going to be bipartisan. I think it's
When you're going to do it, when you're going to announce it. So there's so much energy behind those questions.
going to be over the next couple of weeks probably.
So the president said it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Now again, at the end of the day, this is great news. This is what all of us have been waiting for. Instead of arguing whether this is going to be a stimulus check or a stimulus update with tax credits, because no one knows exactly what it's going to be, we heard what we heard, which is the president was asked, will there be another stimulus check? He replied by saying yes. Then he used the word stimulus package. Focusing on whether it's a stimulus check or a stimulus package is a wrong thing to focus on. I mean, here I am, I'm drinking some Coke, and I actually, this is what I do to get through my videos. Are you going to get into an argument with me about whether this is Coke or whether this is Pepsi? You can, but what if there isn't any soda? Are you still going to stay in the corner and say, hey, I want my Pepsi, I'm not going to touch Coke? You can if you want, but hey, if you want soda and there's no other soda, you're going to accept the soda in any which way you can. Let me actually enjoy this, because I've been working hard on this video for the last couple of days, and so I'm going to enjoy this, and if you don't mind, they need to do one of these with stevia. I'm pretty sure aspartame is not very good for me. But at the end of the day, arguing about whether it's a stimulus check or a stimulus package just makes no sense. So at the end of the day, we are seeing more stimulus money coming. But at some point in time, we're going to stop talking about this stimulus money. At some point in time, we're going to have to become more financially responsible. And that's what my channel is about. If your life depends on the stimulus money, I urge you to subscribe to my channel, because I will teach you to get to the next level financially, where you don't have to worry about whether you get the stimulus money or not. If the stimulus money is not necessary for you, even then I urge you to subscribe to my channel, because then I'll build on the financial foundation that you already have. So I appreciate you watching this video. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to clarify this. At the end of the day, let's hope for more good news. I'm pretty confident more good news is coming, partly because I'm an optimistic guy. I see the glass as half full. I do not see the glass as half empty. In fact, even if the glass is 3/4 empty, I'm going to say that it is 1/4 full, and I think we should be fundamentally optimistic despite everything that's going on. It is only at those points in time when we are tested that we find the will to change. It is only at the precipice that we change.
Only at the precipice do we evolve.
So I think at this point we need to hopefully become more optimistic and less pessimistic. And finally, I believe what I see and what I hear. I think we would be well advised to move in that direction. Thank you so much. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Please enable the notifications button so you get instant updates. I have my serious face most of the time, but I'll try and be funny going forward like I was. Yeah, I just thought the reaction to my video was funny. I actually was concerned about the video, not because of the way I delivered the content. It was because, I was in my ugly hoodies, and I wasn't wearing what I'm wearing now, and I did feel a little self-conscious. But I think the controversy, if you will, about is it a stimulus check, is it a stimulus update, I think that was worth commenting on, because at the end of the day, yes, if the stimulus check or the direct deposit is necessary for your survival, I respect that. But I think that we need to look beyond that, because at some point in time we'll stop talking about these darned stimulus checks, and then we'll move on to a life of financial freedom, and we'll move on to growing and getting to the next level. Thank you so much. Please click subscribe, please click like. I'll see you in the next video. I appreciate you. Thanks. I'll get back to my soda actually. Thanks.